Hi, this is Mary.
Thank you for connecting. I am the virtual assistant for Margaret Smith with Central Process.
Mom, I think Ruby just went out that back door. Do you want to just close it off? Or she's just wanting to explore?
Recording.
Hi. Alexa, I know you're here. Are you still here, Alexa?
What'd you say?
Hi. Right after class, would you be able to stay on for a minute? Let's get you in the right class today.
Yeah, that's fine. They still haven't got a hold of me.
Well,
said
you
they
know
would.
what? If I call, they may start doing it a little bit faster. So let's see
Okay.
if I can call and get it done.
All right. I think it probably just did what they did last time, where they put me like in the McGraw class and not your class.
Well, and the thing is, but did you see that nobody else had to register? And that's why I'm wondering why it's being so difficult for you. Because everyone else just had to click on an assignment and it got them into the class. And I
I just
wonder,
had bad luck.
well, it might be that too, but let's get you in the right class because I don't want you paying for it double when you already paid for it. So let's just figure out why you're not getting into the right class, and maybe we'll have to call the registrar's office because you shouldn't be having this much work. Nobody else had to put in a class number. So let's just I mean, I don't really know what's wrong, but let's figure it out and get it done right now, if we can.
All right.
So I did update the syllabus here. And I did update that link. I thought, you know, I was all happy that I'd gotten all the Zoom links correct this semester. And then I realized this morning that obviously I hadn't. They should all be corrected. Actually, is that still the wrong one? Let me look. Bear with me just for a second here. I don't think that's the right link. It's still the wrong link. Okay. Sorry, give me 1 second here. I apologize. We're gonna fix something. I'll make your coffee. I'll make you coffee. All right, let's do this. Content. All right. Okay, I think I need to refresh my screen. 1 second here. Bear with me just for a second. Because I know I just updated it and it's updated on my other computer. So let me see here. It's still not updated. What is wrong here? 1 second. Sorry, bear with me just for a second because I know I just modified the syllabus and it's not coming up as being modified. On my one computer, it's coming up modified, but not on this one. So give me 1 second to just figure out why it's not. It's still not modified. All right. You guys, I'm gonna shut down the class. I apologize. Give me 1 second here. I'm gonna shut it down because it should be modified. I'm going, let me think. Let's see if I go back in now, if it'll be modified. It's still not, it's still the old one. Um, I'm going to show you, I think the instructions are the same for both of my labs. So we're going to look at another syllabus and know that I will figure out why it's still not updating it. Because I just updated it just about a half hour ago. But the labs are going to run the same for both of my A&P classes. So let me come in here. So what my problem is that I fixed the syllabus, but it's still coming up with the old syllabus and I don't really know why. And I tried just going in and out and it obviously didn't work. So bear with me here, but I'm going to scroll down. The information is the same with regards to the virtual labs. Outside of this due date is going to be Thursday. So looking at how the lab is going to run, every day, every time that we meet for lab, we're going to do a certain set of lab exercises. And there will be a set of questions that you need to submit every time. And they will be due next Thursday at midnight. So the ones we're going to do today, we're going to be doing lab exercise 26. Those questions for the lab that we're doing today are going to be due next Thursday at midnight. They will be on Wiley. You will have some labs will have virtual labs also assigned, others will not.
I'm sorry, where did you say that we would be able to find the questions then that are due for Thursday?
I will show you, Jade. I'll show you.
Please, thank you.
Yep. Bear with me. Let me just get through this part of the syllabus and then I will show you where that information will be.
No, you're fine. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
I understand. Then, in addition to this, at 5 times a semester, you will have like a mini exam. It's a quest, so it's bigger than a quiz, it's smaller than an exam. That's why we're calling it a quest. And you will have 5 of these and they will cover a certain amount of lab exercises. Now I'm still trying to decide, and I think I'm going to end up putting them up through Wiley. Last semester, if you had me for last semester for lab, which I think I'm trying to remember who had me. I think Alexa, because she was got into the wrong class, ended up doing double time for all the homework. And Terry had me for lecture and lab. If you remember, Terry, last semester, the lab quests were all on McGraw-Hill Connect.
Yeah, they were all on that, and it was structured. It was like the length of it was like in between an exam and a chapter quiz.
Right. Do you remember, was it harder or easier for you to do you think that if I had done them through Wiley, it would have been, those would have been easier?
Um, I don't, I'm really like, indifferent to it. I don't think, I prefer, McGraw-Hill to Wiley.
You do?
So like just as like of the two, that's the one I prefer. But like I'm indifferent. I don't think it was necessary. I don't think it would necessarily improve or like lower the quality of it unless there's a lot of like you know how it's like terminology mixing or like you have like all the terms that you're putting in places that might be a bit easier on Wiley, but naturally I didn't have an issue with McGraw-Hill.
Okay. Is there someone else? I'm trying to remember in this list of participants, and I'm going to look for a second. Who else here had me? Isabel, you had me for lab 2. What would you
Yes.
prefer?
I would prefer McGraw-Hill.
Okay.
Yeah, McGraw-Hill just seemed a bit easier to maneuver around, and it was easier to get to the assignments. I didn't have any issues with Wiley, fortunately, but I just would prefer McGraw-Hill. McGraw-Hill seemed a bit easier to maneuver.
Jesse, I think you also had me for lab. Which one was easier? Which would you prefer? Is she there? Maybe not. All right, let's do this then. Let's do them on McGraw-Hill Connect. I wanted to do them with I was thinking about doing them with Wiley because that's where your lab exercises are coming from. And since those quests are over that material, I was going to do that. But I know that McGraw-Hill Connect is a lot easier to, it connects up with D2L better and it's easier to maneuver through. So right here, where it says, it will be timed and may consist of multiple choice, true, false, fill in the blank, and matching questions on McGraw-Hill Connect or Wiley. Take out that Wiley, it's just going to be McGraw-Hill Connect. I think I like McGraw-Hill Connect. The manual is through Wiley, and I like Wiley's manual better. However, when it comes to how it connects up with D2L, I like McGraw-Hill better. Because another benefit that I like to McGraw-Hill Connect is that if this is the first semester you've had with me, which I know it is for about half of you, recognize, as I'm asking these students who had me last semester, I'm asking you the same thing. If you think there's things that would make the class better or easier for you, if I can do it, I will do it. But I do want your feedback. So one of the other benefits that I like about McGraw-Hill Connect is that when you click on the content here and you click to seen as a student, I think I have to look at it as a student to see this. Or of course I can't see it with that all in front of it. Bear with me. When I look at it as a student, hopefully it'll work this way for me. And I go into something like chapter 18. Actually, and of course it's not going to work for me. Let me have, Becky, would you mind sharing your screen?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm going into D2L, right?
Okay. Yes.
Oh, not sure what that is.
The person who texted me, you are going to have to teach me how to say your name. Do you know how to share it there?
I'm working on it.
But I do understand that your internet is bad. Let me explain. I will every week tonight after class, I'm going to post the recordings for our classes. So that because I understand the internets go in and out. Did you figure it out, Becky?
It says you are sharing your screen.
It says you're share. Let me stop sharing mine. It says you're sharing it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here, stop sharing mine. Now you're sharing it. All right. Okay. So if you look over, scroll down a little bit. If you look over on this right-hand column, it gives you due dates.
Mm-hmm.
These are only for McGraw-Hill Connect. Wiley does not, even though it's connected up with D2L, it doesn't give you the due dates like this. That's one of the benefits that I like about McGraw-Hill Connect and D2L is that it's giving you the due dates right there.
Lisa, I have a question. Are we using McGraw-Hill for the lab?
Well, that's what,
Assignment?
that was the debate just now, is whether or not to, part of it, let me explain the lab exercises, and I'll show those to you in a minute. They're going to be through Wiley. Everything else, the virtual labs and the lab quests are going to be through McGraw-Hill Connect.
I like McGraw-Hill. I haven't done Wiley, but I like the McGraw-Hill.
Yeah,
I
I
was
prefer
just about to
McGraw-Hill
say.
too.
Well, I like Wiley for different reasons. I like Wiley because one thing that they have that McGraw-Hill does not have a lot of is they have cadavers images. They have a lot more cadaver images, and your pictures, I will show you how to do that, Katie. For your pictures,
So, Professor, please,
Go
I'll
ahead.
prefer you showing us how to do it, please.
Say it again.
I said I'll prefer you to show us how to do it.
I will show
The
you.
assignment.
I will
All
show
right, thank
you. I'm actually
Okay.
gonna make Becky do some of them here in a second.
Nice.
She's excited.
I am.
So what was I saying? So McGraw-Hill Connect gives you the due dates right here.
Mm-hmm.
It tells you when things are due. Wiley does not do that.
So now is,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
so is Wiley, like, is that what you're saying is like where those questions will be that is
Yes.
due every Thursday then?
Yes.
Okay.
My Wiley still isn't working.
And you changed, you changed.
I changed my browser 3 times. I did Google, Safari, and Chrome. It's not working.
Is it Alyssa? Is that
Yes,
how you say
ma'am.
your name? Would you
Yes,
do me a
ma'am.
favor and stay on after class and let me call
Of course.
Wiley and figure out why we still can't get you on there?
Okay.
So what I want you to, so let me put it this, let me repeat this one more time. Let's see here. I'm gonna have you stop sharing again, Becky, and then I'll have you share again in a little bit.
All right.
So looking at the syllabus, and I'm sorry for some of you who feel like your classes are better structured than this one is. Because this is the first time I've taught this class, and I'm very much, I'm learning as I go kind of professor. The rest of the day should not be this chaotic. And I apologize if you're finding this a little chaotic.
You're in the same boat as the rest of us. We're going as we're learning as we go.
Life is an adventure.
Always.
so scrolling down here, did I finally get it on? Of course I didn't. It's still the wrong syllabus. Actually, I can't be on, this isn't the right syllabus.
Professor, I'm sorry. Do
Go.
you said the Wiley Plus assignment is the one that we do every Thursday?
Wiley is due every Thursday. Yes.
Okay, what of McGraw-Hill?
What?
The other assignments.
The other ones are the lab quests and the virtual labs. If they're assigned, and let me show you that in a moment, Toyin, but when they're assigned, they will be due next Thursday also.
Okay.
Bear with me and I will show you. Be patient with me for a second here and I'll show you. So like I told you, I tried to get the updated syllabus in there and it's still coming up wrong. So I'm coming to a different, this is my other class, but the syllabus will be very similar and the instructions are very similar. So right here, these lab exercise questions, these are going to be through Wiley. They are not timed.
And is that how we get to Wiley, is through the syllabus?
Nope, I'll show you how to do that in 1 second, Jade.
Okay, thank you.
The virtual labs are going to be through McGraw-Hill Connect. Because this is an online class and there's certain things, especially when it comes to laboratory practices, you can't learn online. These virtual labs are the best you're going to get for right now. I am going to, and I'll send out an email about this, but I'm going to ask for your home addresses, knowing that I'm going to shred them afterwards. Because I'm going to send you some urinalysis strips.
Oh.
We're doing the urinary system here in a little bit. And I think as much as we can, I'm going to do labs that are hands-on. I actually, if it makes it interesting for this semester, I had a student a year ago whose husband was a butcher. And I ended up getting through that butcher a bunch of fresh organs.
Oh, nice.
And so up in a freezer where this dog that you met earlier, the big dog that came from, up in his freezer, because he's not there and we have space up there, I have a pair of lungs. I also have a full complete liver.
Nice.
I also
this is so exciting.
I also have kidneys.
Nice.
And I have part of a brain. I'll try to show you the brain. It's a whole different ball game than the fixed stuff. I will tell you that. It's not fixed organs. The organs that are fixed, like with formaldehyde, are very different. This liver is just kind of blah all over, and it doesn't look like your typical little shaped liver. You'll learn when we look at it. But so I have up there, I have lungs, kidney, liver. What else did I get? Lungs, kidney, liver.
You said brain.
Brain. I might have gotten something else. I just can't remember what it is right now.
What kind of animal did they come from?
I think they all came from pig. Oh, I have a heart. I have hearts up there.
Hmm.
I actually have fixed hearts too, and we may have to do both, because you'll see that there's a major difference in their texture. Fixed organs are great because they hold their shape, but as we work with these organs, you're going to learn that they are very not fixed. they're flimsy and they're floppy and they're bloody, and it's quite the adventure.
And you're getting them all excited, Mary.
I know, my mom's like, you're getting them all excited.
I'm so excited. I can't even. I'm like rocking back and forth. I'm excited.
I mean, you know, some of what some of us went through last semester with our previous lab instructor. So to know all this is, you have no idea how exciting this is.
Yes, it's exciting.
I was just telling my mom, and you're not, this is of course being recorded, but I thought your professor last semester was a booger.
Yeah,
There's-
well,
there's
you and I had that conversation. I know Casey was in on that conversation as well. And I'm sure whoever else I was in class with last semester, we were all kind of on the same page. And it was I feel like I'm set for success this semester, where last semester I felt like I was set for success with you.
Yeah.
But when it came to the lab part,
yeah,
my grades
I
with
agree.
you were totally different than my grades with him.
I
So
agree.
yeah, so I was talking to my husband and I said, I have no doubt that I'm going to excel in both parts because of how you are and how you teach. Whereas I know we're recorded, but like the previous instructor did not teach and it was very disheartening.
Well, and he was kind of, I felt like from what you said, he was kind of condescending and he was kind of cutting.
Who did you have?
He
Dr.
was.
Weeks. I think it was Dr. Weeks, correct?
Yes, and he would.
Yes.
I know he definitely made fun of me quite a few times for mispronouncing a word.
Oh yeah, me too.
And that's fine if I was in if I was in med school.
Right.
And go ahead, but this is my first semester in this class. So yeah.
No, as soon as I asked you, Mary, if you were going to be our instructor for lab, I put myself on mute. I looked straight at my fiance. I said, oh my gosh. I said, I got Mary for lab. I said, yes.
I hope you feel the same way by the end of the semester.
I'm pretty sure I will.
I have no doubt. I have no doubt.
You know, I know it, you know, everyone at moments has their condescending and cutting moments. You know, we've all said stupid things to people. And professors, one of the things that professors learn, this dean has not said it to me, but at Carol.
Professor, what I would say is, okay, you're talking. What I would say is to the professor that taught us last semester, I noticed he wants us to read. You don't lecture. Like he will give us what to go home and read. Then I think we can't be same.
No.
You get what I'm saying? Like so,
yeah.
But as I noticed, as for me, I really enjoy your lecture.
You're well, I'm glad. I hope it continues to be that good for you. But I think, you know, my chair at Carroll Community College, he always says, you know, the best thing about being a teacher is that every day matters. The hardest thing about being a teacher is that every day matters.
Was he a professor or was he a doctor? Because I thought it was Dr. Weeks.
I don't. Your professor that you had last semester was a doctor.
Yes, it was Dr. Weeks.
He's also a professor.
That's why he was so stern like that. Because I knew as soon as I seen Dr. Weeks, I thought, oh, this is a doctor. This is about to go totally different.
But you know what? Not all doctors, not all professors, as a general rule, should not be like that.
No.
Right.
And I would tell you, like on Fridays, I would look forward to your class, and then when it came to the second portion, I was like,
I didn't even want to get on.
Yeah, how am I going to survive the next couple hours?
Yep.
To get through this class. And I'm just glad, like I know Casey and I had talked, but I'm glad, you know, like we've said to you, Mary, it just was it was totally different. Like, so I'm ecstatic. Said to my husband, I know I'm going to, you know, kick butt because you give me the drive to want me to learn the knowledge and ask questions and continue with my education. He just wanted me to wave the red flag, the white flag, whatever, and just give up because I mispronounced a word and I asked a quote unquote stupid question. And that to me,
you know what?
You guys should know this stuff. You guys should know this stuff. This should not be taking this long for you guys to be able to answer one question.
You know
And
what?
I totally understand, Becky. I get it.
I feel like if we were in med school, that's fine. Feel that way.
But you know what? You shouldn't even feel that way in med school.
Right.
It doesn't. I want you to work on pronouncing things. I want you to, I like audiobooks, and I'll show you a book here. I might show it today. I might show it the next time. Where my mom and I listened to it. It's called Immune, and it's a new book out by a person called Philip Detmer, where he describes the immune system from a layman's perspective.
So he's on our level.
He's awesome. He's funny.
Oh, that's great.
Here, well, let me grab the book. Just a sec.
Well, I'd have to say when I signed up for my classes, ladies, I totally looked for something that she was both.
I'm really glad you guys had at least.
No, I'm there with you
part
too.
of one part of your classes good because.
Give me 1 second here, 2 seconds.
I'm going to be honest. I was even going to switch my professor, not as far as Mary. I really didn't want to leave her, but thinking that, oh my God, I was going to be with him again. I just thought to myself, like, I don't think there's any way that I can deal with him all over again. I was like, no.
And my favorite was him like, just turn off your video.
Yeah. Yep.
And then you'd hear
you to turn off your video.
He did.
Yes.
He didn't want to see us because he would sit in his kitchen and he would smoke.
Yes.
Oh wow.
During class. Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm like, you're a doctor. I'm like, the last thing you should be doing is smoking while you're on virtually with your students.
Wow. I don't have a problem with people who smoke, but the fact that,
he's doing it on his teaching.
I don't either. I just don't think it's professional, especially if you're a doctor and you're a teacher, you're teaching students. I just don't think it's something that's professional.
And it's not. He would give us a break. So like take your break, smoke your cigarette, and come back to class like the rest of us.
Right.
But anyway, I'm sorry.
All right. Let's okay, we're gonna quit. We're gonna quit with him, but let me explain something. So I have this book. This is another there's a few good books that I would highly recommend. One of them, and it's not this one, I actually got this one because I listened to let me see here, written in bone. I got this book, What We Leave Behind. So I listened to this book, like I have Hoopla audio through the library, and I listened to this book. And this is an author, her name is Sue Black. And she is a forensics anthropologist in Scotland.
Awesome.
And it got me I realized how little I knew about the skeleton when I listened to this book. Because, we talked about the scapula last semester. You don't realize until you start looking into a book like this, where she understands how the skeleton develops. The skeleton starts as 7 parts and it gradually fuses together. And based on the level of fusion, you can determine how old a scapula is and how old was that person that it came from. But one thing, the reason I'm bringing up this book with you was she pronounced everything differently than I do. There were so many things that she pronounced differently that I was just like, what? Wait, what? And depending on where you come from, you pronounce things differently.
Oh, most
And
definitely.
some of the stuff, yes, we pronounce the same way. But part of that is because she's been doing it for a long time and I've been doing it for a long time. You have to start somewhere.
Right.
And so then, this very good book, I'd recommend it to you, but some of it is hard to stomach if you don't like, I could never be a forensics anthropologist. I like to study it, I like to understand it, but some of where these bodies are coming from is very hard for me to consider.
Yeah, that would be tough.
But then, this is the other book, and this book right here is by another author who's not from the US, and it's called Immune, and this one just came out by Philip Detmer, as my mom is telling me from the other room, because we both listened to it twice.
Oh, he's 2-piece.
Nope, it's just one. It's just
Really?
one. But so he is a CEO of a YouTube channel person, and this is what it's called. This is his YouTube channel. But he explains the immune system from a layman's perspective.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get that one.
It's awesome. It's a great book, and he's funny too. He talks about the skin as being a hellhole. And he talks about the fact, well, we'll talk about it. I'll bring up some of the things he says when we talk about it, but he talks about the natural killer cells as being cells that don't want to ask you about your problems. They just want to put a bag over your head and shoot you. So my mom is laughing. But the other thing that I'm bringing this book up with you is because the author that reads this book is also not American. Guess what? He pronounces things differently.
And it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. And yes, you'll hear, as you go forward in your education, you're going to hear certain terms different ways all the time. And you'll get used to it and realize they're talking about the same thing. But we all have to start somewhere.
Right. As long as you get the message.
Did you hear what my mom said?
Yes, and I appreciate what you just said.
Okay.
And you hear it all different kinds of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like potato. People say Audi, some people say Audi. It's all the same thing.
Right. I feel like that it's not, to say that you can only pronounce things one way and to be cutting when people say that differently is really not appropriate behavior. And that's putting it in a nice way. Yeah, when you said that to me last semester, Becky, that was really it was just disturbing to me that someone would do that.
Yeah.
And isn't that, sorry, like the terms and stuff that like a lot of the things that we learn, like, isn't that Latin? It comes from like.
Yes. A lot of it is Greek or Latin.
Okay.
All right, so back to the original message here. Your lab exercises are going to be through Wiley.
Okay.
Your virtual labs and your lab quests that will cover a certain amount, the material from a certain amount of lab exercises are going to come through McGraw-Hill Connect.
Okay.
McGraw-Hill Connect will always show you the deadlines for things on that front page. Wiley, you're just going to have to remember. But always remember that it's due the following week after we go over it in lab.
So the next.
So I have a question. So you say the virtuals come from McGraw-Hill, whatever, however you pronounce that.
McGraw-Hill Connect, yes.
Okay, and then Wiley. Okay, so the virtual labs, is there a due date?
Yes, and Zena, would you do me a favor right now? Can you share your screen? I don't remember if
I
you could
can,
or
but
not.
I'm actually on my phone because my internet wasn't working
I
for whatever reason.
understand. Becky, would you share your screen again?
Becky's our personal lab today.
There she is. If she's still there. Becky, can you share your screen?
I had to use the bathroom. Sorry.
Becky, really?
Well, didn't want you to think I disappeared. I'm coming.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to share my screen. I know.
Right.
My husband says, can you filter a little better?
Yeah,
Okay.
just say no. We just say what we feel.
I said I wasn't raised that way. I'm sorry. All right. So we want,
from your
hold on. Sharing my screen.
Zena, one thing that you may learn is that if you try to submit things on your phone, it may not give you credit for it on D2L.
Okay.
If you try to do the work on your phone, it may not give you credit for it.
Okay, thanks for letting me know. I think today will be the only day that I'll use my phone to do this, hopefully.
Okay, so Becky, will you go to the Wiley lab exercises?
Yep.
Actually, let's do this first. Let's go to Wiley lab exercises. Go down. And then click on that first one, lab exercise 26. Actually, wait. I'm sorry. Go back. Scroll back. Apologize.
No worries.
Okay, so scroll up a little bit. So looking at this is a PowerPoint for this lab. These next, so the blood 122 blood lab exercise 26, that's the PowerPoint. The blood crash course, the function of white blood cells, the how to do a hematocrit test, the how to do blood typing, the how to measure hemoglobin concentration, and how to evaluate a CBC, which is a complete blood count. Scroll down a little bit more. All of those are videos. The virtual labs are right here. Will you click on that first one? Yep.
This one?
Yes.
Blood.
Yep. So the second you click on this, it should take you into McGraw-Hill Connect by clicking launch there. Click launch. And then click begin.
Am I going to get my 5 points?
Not unless you have to finish it, but it will get you started in the right direction. So it's going to tell you what you're going to learn about, what an overview of it, and before you begin. Now let's actually.
That's really cool.
Yes, so I honestly, these are really they're good labs. Now go back. I would maybe go up to the B sign go back into D2L with the B, the third tab, second tab up there. Sorry, second tab.
Yeah,
second tab to the left.
There we go. Okay.
Now click back to lab exercise 26 or that one.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. So all of the virtual labs are going to start like that. Okay. If you skip one step, it will not let you move forward.
That's good.
You may have to call McGraw-Hill Connect or to figure out why it's not letting you move forward.
And then is that where our questions will be in those
Nope,
videos?
nope, let me show you, nope, let me show you one
Okay.
other thing. Becky, will you click on this lab exercise 26 down here?
Yep.
This is Wiley.
All right,
So
agree.
click agree to terms. These are the questions, Jade.
Don't ask me again.
I'm still a little lost though. So do we have to watch all those videos and then at the bottom where it says the
You
lab
do not
exercise?
have to watch those videos, but they will help you.
So they're
Nice,
just
okay.
informative and educational.
And some of them are going to show you how that lab experiment is done. Virtual labs are never going to show you exactly how it's done.
Okay. So
They
hit open.
actually walk you through. So click open. So start assignment. You have unlimited attempts. I've done that for everything. You should always have unlimited attempts. This first one, which type of antigens are present on an individual with type A blood? Click A right there. And then click submit answer.
It better be right. Just kidding.
It better be right or I'll be in trouble. All right, so it tells you that it's correct. Go to the next one. Which of the following determines an individual's blood type? We've got presence of specific antigens on their surface, presence of specific antigens. It's presence of specific antigens on the surface of the red blood cells, the first one.
Oh.
And then click submit. Correct. This
Okay.
is how you're going to work through these questions.
Is it going to be 92 every time?
It's going to be a lot. It's less than I gave them last semester. Let's put it that way, but it's still, it is a lot of questions because I want you to get the pattern. I want you to understand. And a lot of these questions are going to ask us similar things in different ways.
Okay. And then it says to answer this question, first click view to the associated.
You already answered it. So you could do that too. You could look at an animation. Click here to view the associated animation. Because I don't see the animations actually when I select
It almost feels like it gives you a rundown.
Which is not a bad thing. Interact in 3D. Maybe.
I live out. Yeah, I was like, I live out. Oh, it's still loading.
It's coming.
I don't have. Yeah, I basically have dial up out here.
Hey,
Yeah,
whatever works.
I'm actually on a jetpack and it doesn't necessarily always work. We live in the mountain and we're basically running off dial up. So
where do you live?
We're in Dillsburg. We have 5 acres. So,
oh wow,
yeah.
you're right by me.
Yeah, where are you?
I'm actually in Lewisberry, so I'm not that far.
The surfaces of red blood cells, or erythrocytes, contain genetically determined antigens that are composed of glycoproteins and glycolipids.
That's really
These
cool.
antigens, also called agglutinogens, are present in specific combinations that categorize blood into different blood groups. In humans, the 2 main blood groups are called ABO,
Okay,
RH
so
systems.
pause it, stop it.
Within a given blood group, there may be 2 or more different blood types.
If
It is the
lets you.
specific antigen
Yeah, that's what I was
located on the
gonna
red
say.
blood cell's surface that determines an individual's blood type. The blood plasma.
We'll
All right.
stop the video at least.
So that's so do you understand how you're going to do this? And let's see, I'm in Edders and I'm not far from either of you guys. Okay. Do you have questions for me now?
No, I think I'm actually really intrigued with it.
Okay.
Honestly. I think it'll
So,
be good.
There's benefits to both McGraw-Hill Connect and Wiley. That's why we're using them together. Now let's come back to lab exercise 26, the second tab to the left, that one. And then scroll up to lab exercise 26. Now, I have to make a decision.
This one, not,
Yep, that was that one.
that's what I want to do.
That's the one that no, that's the one that we were just on.
So we want to do this one?
Let me,
Yeah, can I just know like the first one that has to be complete then?
you know all of this, the virtual labs, you don't have to watch the videos if you don't want to. We're gonna watch some of them today depending on the time,
Okay.
but they will help you possibly with answering some of those questions.
Okay, so then we have the virtual. So all the virtual labs will be due the 27th, which is next.
Right.
Okay.
And the Wiley lab exercise, this down the bottom one.
Okay.
Other questions? Okay, let's.
I have a question real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt
No,
again.
go ahead.
I don't know if any other student is having a problem with their calendar, but when I tried to go to my calendar, I was not able to see anything last night.
Could you see it today, Zena?
Tried it twice last night. I can try it right now and see.
Were you the
if
one
it
that we couldn't get on McGraw-Hill Connect?
No, I didn't have a problem with that.
It doesn't give you that calendar if you go to the first page. Go back to the first page, Becky. It doesn't give you this calendar on the right side.
There.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Let me see. Let me just maybe try it a different way.
Does it give you the virtual labs when you go into that lab exercise? Does it give those?
Let me see. I'm sorry, my computer is thinking.
No, don't worry. Is it letting you now, Zena?
Yep, it's letting me do it now. Yeah.
Okay, good. I wonder if it's because we didn't get you registered for the class and it took a little bit for it to finally all be available to you.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Um.
Okay. Yep. Thank you. That worked.
Of course. Other questions? Like I said this morning, a lot of the hurdles to online classes is getting people into their books and getting them to be able to see how the class is going to go. That's why I think this is kind of important to do this. Let's see here. Are the videos to answer the lab questions? Yes, they will help you answer the questions. PowerPoint will also help you answer the questions. And someone asked about, was that all the homework? Yes. So for next week, it's the virtual labs and the lab exercise questions.
Okay, so like right here on my screen, you see January 27th, 27th, 27th. Those are all the virtual labs. Those are all due.
Right.
Okay.
And so at the same time that they're due, the Wiley lab exercises are due.
Okay, that have the 92 questions.
Right.
Okay.
I'm gonna limit them. I know Casey's excited about that, but I'm gonna limit them. I'm gonna limit them to 100 a week. Terry Isabel can tell you that that's easier than what they had. Because I think what?
Quick question about the Wiley lab exercise.
Okay.
Since it's 100 questions, do we have to complete it all at once, or can you go?
You can complete it multiple ways, but you know what? I think once you get started, you're going to realize it's not that long.
Okay.
But you can complete it. No, and you'll also learn that I round up. If you remember with your test scores for last semester, if you got, for example, if you got on an exam, let's say 82.2, I rounded it up to 83.
Yeah.
If you're doing those lab exercises and you get to like 8.01, and that's your score, I'm going to round it up to a 9. Partly because I'm lazy and I don't want to have to add up all those decimals at the end of the semester.
And we love that about you.
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, good. All right, good. So other questions about how the lab is going to work?
I just feel very confident about this semester with, regardless of the amount of work and questions and stuff, I just feel really good. So that's all I'm going to say.
So I hope you feel the same way by the end. Let's see what happens.
I'm very honest. Like I said,
Okay.
my husband, when you hide your emotions, but I'm sure it'll still be the same.
Okay. All right, good. All right, now I'm gonna have you
Hey,
start.
I have a question real quick. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So, are the videos that are posted paired with the lab questions?
Yes, I tried to do that. I'm trying to do, they should be.
Okay, thank you so much.
Lauren, one thing that I do is when I set up those questions for you, I list down all the topics that those questions refer to, and I try to cover all of those. If you, for example, you miss a question, like what I was just saying, if you miss a question and you end up with like, 8.86 or 8.3 out of 10, I'm going to round it up to a 9. So if there's 1 or 2 questions that you just can't figure out the answer to, don't worry about them. Other questions?
In the syllabus, it says that if we miss a lab, we can't make it up.
Yes, you can. Katie, you'll learn that I give due dates, partly because students like them, partly because I don't want you to get behind. However, if you miss a due date, just tell me and I'll extend it out for you. What I'll ask you for when that happens is I'll ask you to specifically tell me what assignment and when approximately you will have it done. Is that
13.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is that clear? Yeah. So I'm not really picky about due dates. I'm more, because it's an online course, things happen. And especially in the middle of a pandemic, like Becky said at the beginning of the last class, her family was getting over COVID for the 2nd time.
I'm still struggling with it. This is my nap time, so you're lucky I'm awake.
Okay. My mom and I, she's now gone somewhere, but my mom and I just had a friend die of it about a week and a half ago.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. It's kind of a big deal. So if something happens during the semester, just tell me, let me know what's going on. and we'll figure it out.
She's really good with that, guys. So don't be
I was
afraid.
just gonna say the same thing. I know Casey could vouch for it as well, and whoever else was in her class. If you're just honest and open with her, she is very accommodating and will do the best she can.
Yeah, I was just about to tell you, Mary, I'm following you, but that Wiley got me a little off chart, so you might be getting an email from me
That's
here
fine.
soon.
That's fine. That's fine. Let's go ahead.
I was gonna say anything like communication makes the world of a difference. Like if you know what's going on in somebody's life, you can understand the reasons why there are things going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like personal reasons. So
There were so many things that happened last semester. I mean, and so just, just let me know what's going on and we will figure things. Treating you like actual humans. Well, you should be treated like actual humans. You're welcome. Let's just go forward. But yeah, just be honest with me because I know that things happen. I know that internet issues happen. I know that we're in the middle of a pandemic. Let's just go forward. And if things happen, they happen. If I know that a lot of you have children. If someone gets sick and you have to take them to the doctor, you got to take them to the doctor. And the video recordings, I will get them all up. The goal, what I'll probably do is get them up right after class on Fridays if I can. But recognize that it takes me probably about 2 or 3 hours to do it.
Oh, wow.
It's not a quick process and that's fine. But I think they're important because internet, I'm been fortunate in that I have great internet, but it's not always the case. All right, let's go forward and I'm gonna have Becky, yeah, perfect. I'm trying to think what's the best way to do this.
And I'm actually trying to figure it out myself. Like last semester, I had 2 separate notebooks. And honestly, I would always go off of what I learned in your lecture more than what I was educated in my lab. So I'm just trying to figure out, do I do 2 separate notebooks or do I just do a continuation?
I would do a continuation because I'm going to work to make sure that they are very similar. If there's something that we do in lab that we definitely don't do in lecture, I will try to tell you about it.
All right, so that'll make things a little more cohesive. So I appreciate that.
So I'm trying to think because we didn't get as far in lab as in lecture as I'd like to have been. Let me go through the lab PowerPoint first, and if there's something that's not if it's not clear there, then I will come back to the lecture PowerPoint, but let's do that first because it's shorter and one other thing, if you look here, here's the Wiley lab manual right here. You can click on that and it will open the manual for you. It's actually got a lot of information on it. It's got note cards for you. It has actually, Becky, would you do me a favor? Go
share my screen.
Yeah, share your screen one more time.
Come on. All right, so go to content.
Yeah. Yes, please. I need to stop sharing and then I'd actually see it. Okay. So go down, scroll down to the Wiley lab manual right there. And scroll up.
There we go.
And click on that. and scroll down a little bit. So right there is the e-textbook. This is actually a combination of a lab manual and another textbook. But click on that really quick. Click on the Wiley Plus e-textbook. And I would just say save or opt out. No, I'm sorry. I would opt out of that stuff, but
Yeah, well,
you don't need to put in your email. Don't put in your
just
email.
continue.
Yeah,
No, thanks. I'll skip this step. How about that one?
click I agree to the terms. So if you look here, close out of this really quick. If you look over on this side, scroll down a little bit.
Ah.
So that book right there, that is a textbook. Part of that is a textbook, but scroll down even further if you can.
Oh, good Lord. I'm trying. There we go.
So right here is the beginning. This was essential. This is some of what we did last semester, like the anatomical language, the organ systems. These were the first two lab exercises. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down some more. Go down to exercise 26. You'll see there's chapters intermixed because this is a combination. Wait, go back up, go back up. Right there, blood components and blood tests. This is what the manual would look like if you had a manual in front of you. What I would do if for those questions, those Wiley questions, is if you really struggle with the question, come back to this.
So I bought the lab manual, so I had it in paper because I'm a paper type of person.
Yeah.
So that's basically saying what's in what I have.
Right. Now do me a favor, get out of the book. And so click that arrow. Yep. Now, no, don't continue reading. Click the back arrow. Let's get out of this for right now. You're not going to buy any more stuff from them.
No.
Like I said, we've already bought enough stuff. you paid your tuition. It's already paid for. So actually, can you go to that 3D interactive? Let's see what that is. Or actually go to the second tab over Wiley Plus course resources. Okay, so you have a real anatomy. Don't click on it. Don't click on it. Scroll down. Scroll down. Maybe not. Scroll down. Scroll down. Okay, maybe not. Scroll back up. Why don't you click that real anatomy launch? Let's just see what's there.
Oh, cool.
Okay. Does it actually show you the blood? It doesn't have it there, but you can do it. Histology, kind of. But you can do a dissection too.
Hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
That is pretty cool.
What other questions about just the basic mechanics of getting things to work? What other questions do you have for me?
Do we have lab exams?
You have lab quests. You don't have lab exams. So they're like a mixture between, they're smaller than an exam and bigger than a typical quiz. And you'll have 5 of them. If you actually I'm going to have you stop sharing for a minute there, Becky. May have you share again, but let's have you stop for right now. Look. Right at the very bottom of the syllabus here. So this is what we're doing today. This is the reading material you could get from the textbook that applies to lab exercise 26. If you look on this side, right here, lab topic and assignments, it tells you what's going to be assigned that week. The due dates, it gives you the due dates right here.
Oh, nice. Okay.
The first lab quest will open up on February 11th, so 4 weeks from today. And it will cover lab exercises 26, 31, 27, and 28. And so these are a little longer than an exam. Sorry, a little shorter than a quiz, little longer than a quiz, and shorter than an exam. And you'll have 5 of them.
Now, will they be like you have the option to take it twice, or is it
Yes.
once?
Yes.
Okay. And the highest grade is what?
Yes. Yes, it'll be the same because we're doing it on McGraw-Hill Connect because that seems to be what people like better. It will, it's going to be the same format as your lecture exams. It's going to be the same format as your chapter quizzes. The only thing that isn't going to follow that format are those Wiley lab exercise questions.
Okay.
Lauren, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
All right, let's jump into this PowerPoint now. So I'm gonna look at the PowerPoint. It's 31 slides, but it's not as long as you think it is. So bear with me here and pretend this isn't the date. I'll fix that later. So general functions of the blood: transportation of gases, nutrients, waste, regulating functions. It's involved in pH regulation, fluid balance, and heat. Protection functions, disease and blood loss. Blood has 2 major components: the formed elements, which are the erythrocytes and the leukocytes, and the thrombocytes, which, do you remember what I told you was the word for clotting? What's another word for clotting from earlier today?
Hemolysis? No.
No, you're close. That's destruction of blood.
Thrombos something.
Yep, for thrombosis.
Thrombosis.
So thrombocytes Platelets are also called thrombocytes because platelets have to do with clotting. They have to do with forming being involved in thrombosis. The plasma is the liquid portion of the blood. So plasma components, it's about approximately 55% of a whole blood sample. And about 91% of plasma is water. 8% of it is albumin, is protein, albumin, and one of them was fibrinogen. What was the other one? What was the other protein? Albumin, fibrinogen.
It is. Oh, come on. Is it the here we go. Globulins.
Globulins. Yes.
There we go.
Becky, I'm encouraging you to pronounce things because the only way you got to start somewhere. And it doesn't, as long as you can spell it, a lot of times it doesn't matter. And even if you can even spell it partially right, it's fine. So the other 1% of the material is all these other things: glucose, amino acids, lipids, electrolytes, vitamins, hormones, waste, drugs, dissolved gases. This 1% and the albumin, antibodies, and complement. What does that, do you remember what that would be part of doesn't include clotting factors? What did we call that earlier? That was plasma that didn't include the clotting factors.
Serum.
What?
You said serum, I think.
It is serum. You're right. You guys, one thing that I want, my goal is also for lab to be a time to discuss and talk more about what's going on in lecture and help, solidify some of the concepts that we're talking about in lecture.
So you would say that 1% would be other materials like AKA serum?
Yes, but it also includes albumin. It's included in serum because serum also includes albumin, antibodies, and complement.
Okay.
One thing that we'll talk about when we talk about immunity is that one thing that we can do when somebody is struggling against a toxin that will kill them before they will build up an immunity against it. That's something that comes out in this immune book that I was telling you about. Sometimes you can't let people just get natural immunity because it kills them before they get it. We will give people serum that contains an antibody against the toxin that they're struggling with. Keep preventing them from dying.
Okay, like my cousin, her 3-year-old got bit by a rattlesnake. So she
exactly.
It is serum.
Exactly.
Now, could that also be for something that's like drug related? Like, for instance, say if somebody were to like have a overdose or something, or am I kind of off topic with that there?
You might be right. It might not work. It might not be the case all the time, but I think it's part of the time.
Okay.
I think it depends on what the drugs are.
Okay.
So the formed elements is the other 45%. So approximately 55% of the blood is plasma. The X other 45% are the formed elements. You guys, what were the formed elements again? Generally, what were the 3 formed elements?
For blood itself.
Yep, for blood it's or just yeah, for blood itself. But there were only 3 basic formed elements in blood. What are they?
The transportation, regulation, and protection.
No, those are the functions. What are the formed elements?
Iron or Fe?
Nope.
No.
You're close.
Oxygen?
Nope.
Is it the erythrocytes?
The erythrocytes, the red blood cells.
The leukocytes?
Leukocytes.
Leukocytes.
And then the granulocytes.
Or the platelets.
Okay. But that's
now,
what that is.
let me explain what a formed element is. That will help here. A formed element is something that's membrane enclosed, that's in the blood. So platelets are membrane enclosed fragments of cells. Leukocytes are membrane enclosed cells because all cells are membrane enclosed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And erythrocytes are membrane enclosed cells. So all formed elements are membrane enclosed substances. We'll talk about the fact that platelets.
Okay, what was the third one? Platelets, leukocyte, and what was the other one?
Platelets. I'm sorry, Zena, say them again. Say it one more time. What you tell me? What are the 3?
So you say the form elements are platelets, and leukocytes, and what was the other one?
Erythrocytes.
Oh, erythrocytes.
And it's spelled right here. If you need that, right here.
Okay.
So these are all the anything that, if you think of formed element, think of something that's enclosed in a membrane. It's formed with a membrane around it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, of course. If you haven't figured it out and you didn't have me last semester, I like questions. Please ask questions. Let's make this semester as interactive as possible. So formed elements, they're produced by the red bone marrow, and they all form from hematopoietic stem cells. They all form from ultimately where they all come from. Their ancestor is the hematopoietic stem cell. Remember, hemato means blood, poietic meaning producing or forming. And they all form in the red bone marrow. They can mature other places, maybe, but they all form in the red bone marrow. So the erythrocytes are the most numerous of the formed elements. Remember, these are the ones that contribute to the viscosity of the blood. All the others don't. All the other 2 formed elements are not big contributors when it comes to the viscosity of the blood. Only the erythrocytes are key to the viscosity. So they're the most numerous of the formed elements, and they have an average lifespan of about 120 days. They have the biconcave shape and they're anuclear. What does it mean to be anuclear?
They don't have a nucleus.
Right, they don't have a nucleus. A meaning the absence of. So they don't have a nucleus. They are big bags of hemoglobin. Remember from earlier today, 97% hemoglobin. They don't have a nucleus. They don't contain mitochondria. They don't contain a Golgi apparatus. They don't contain a lot of things. because they're 97% hemoglobin.
That's just so weird. I feel like everything else that we learn that's living has contained all the other things.
Right, right.
And these are so important that, and they don't contain any of it. That's just
Let me ask you a question, and I'm going to ask you this, and I'm going to ask you to think about it between now and through the next chapter. Why can't viruses infect red blood cells? Now, let me explain just for a second, and then I'll come back from this tangent. When a virus infects a cell, it hijacks the protein machinery of that cell and forces the cell to do what it wants it to do and make viral proteins. Why can't viruses hijack red blood cells?
Because there's no nucleus, and that's where the
Darn
replication.
it, Lauren. Yes, you're right. That's exactly it. There's no nucleus, so there's no way, what are they going to do once they're there? They may be able to infect it, but once they're in there, there's no benefit for them to be in there. So erythrocytes contain hemoglobin. They bind to oxygen for transport. They carry hydrogen ions for buffering. Remember pH, and that free hydrogen ions are how we measure pH. And they carry carbon dioxide for elimination. Hemoglobinometers, as you watch me try to pronounce something.
Say that 10 times fast.
Yeah, say it 10 times fast.
Hemoglobinometers.
Say it again.
Hemoglobinometers.
Hemoglobinometers. Oh, look, all right. So hemoglobinometers measure the amount of hemoglobin in a red blood cell. Why, if someone doesn't have a lot of hemoglobin in their red blood cells, what does that say?
Low oxygen level.
Their oxygen capacity is down. Their ability to bind oxygen is down. What also might they struggle with if they don't have a lot of hemoglobin?
Clotting?
Probably not so much clotting, maybe. My mom says no.
Okay, well, we'll take mom's answer. She says no.
But what else do you know that's really important for making hemoglobin from earlier? What's something that's vital to making hemoglobin function as an oxygen carrier?
That bilirubin, maybe?
Say it again, Zena.
Maybe bilirubin. I can't say it.
You're bilirubin. No, not bilirubin, but you're close. What other thing did we talk about earlier today that would be vital for oxygen to bind to hemoglobin? What's in hemoglobin that oxygen binds to?
Iron.
Iron, yes.
Iron, yeah.
People who are iron anemic will struggle with levels of hemoglobin.
That's me.
That's you? I was for a long time because of my periods.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not uncommon for females to struggle with iron anemia because of their periods. I ended up as a teenager, I think I probably mentioned this last semester, I had a lot of surgeries growing up. And one of those surgeries was for, during one of those surgeries, they always do a blood test right before you go in for surgery. And one of those blood tests showed that I was iron anemic. And so I started just taking an iron supplement, and I've been taking one since then. For that reason. So go ahead.
That's interesting because I have the actual, the opposite problem. I produce too much red blood cells, which
Oh, wow.
is
So you're polycythemia.
Yeah, which is rare for a female. My doctor said once I stop getting my period, then I'm really going to have to focus on giving blood because it could lead into a whole other can of worms with everything settling into your liver.
Why? Hey, you tell me, why is that a big deal?
Because your body, because you're not getting rid of the excess the excess iron.
Well, you're not getting rid of the excess iron, but what else is going on? Why would polycythemia, what she's referring to is when your hematocrit, so let's say your typical hematocrit is 42%, meaning the red blood volume is 42%. What if it's like 55 or 60? Why is that a bad thing?
See, now I'm learning about my life, my health issues here.
Okay. But why is that a bad thing? What did we talk about earlier that red blood cells contribute to within the blood? It wasn't osmolarity, but what else was it?
Viscosity.
Viscosity. Why is that a bad thing?
Because it puts strain on your heart.
Why does it put strain on your heart?
Because the more red blood cells, the higher the viscosity and the thicker it is to pump through your heart.
Right. The harder, the more pressure. Good job. The more pressure your heart has to work against to just move blood through the same vessels.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a good one. Good job, Becky.
Okay. Yeah, actually informative today. Good for me.
You're always informative.
All right.
Okay.
Well, at least I learned why. Like I knew why it was an issue, but at least now I can mentally chapter it, figure out.
Well, and I'm gonna ask you another question here in a second, but let's work through this. That was a great example. So erythropoietin, can you guess what erythropoietin is if I tell you it's a hormone? Can you guess what it might do?
Too much production of red blood cells.
What and Zena, what it does is it's you're right. It's a hormone that triggers production of red blood cells. If you think erythropoiesis is production of red blood cells, erythropoietin is a hormone that triggers red blood cell production. So what happens is when your blood is being filtered through your kidneys, we'll learn when we talk about kidneys that your urinary system is not a big deal until it doesn't function well. We don't think much about it until it doesn't function well. And then we think a lot about it because it's pretty awful. You can get down to 3% kidney function before you recognize that your kidneys are failing. But the reason I mention that is because the kidneys, as they're filtering your blood, have a sensor for determining the oxygen levels within the blood. How do we determine the oxygen levels within the blood? Well, how saturated is the hemoglobin in the blood with oxygen? If there's not a high saturation level of oxygen in the blood and the kidneys sense that, they're going to start to secrete erythropoietin to bring up the amount of red blood cells, to bring up the amount of oxygen that can be bound. Is that clear what I'm saying? Let me say it one more time. So hypoxia, this word right here, I'm going to make it just a little bigger. Hypoxia is low oxygen levels. It can be due to a lot of things. It can be due to, you can have hypoxia, so you can have low hemoglobin saturation because you don't have a lot of hemoglobin. You can have low hemoglobin saturation because you don't have a lot of red blood cells to start out with. You can have low oxygen levels because the oxygen pressure in the air is lower than it should be, and your body needs to compensate for it by producing more red blood cells. Or you can have increased tissue demand for oxygen, which is pulling oxygen off your hemoglobin faster than you're able to replace it. So hypoxia is just low oxygen levels, which are sensed by the kidneys. So the result is that there's reduced oxygen levels in the blood. As that blood is being filtered through the kidneys sense that there's low oxygen, and they secrete erythropoietin. Erythropoietin then circulates, just like all hormones, it circulates through the blood and ultimately ends up in the red bone marrow, where it triggers enhanced erythropoiesis. So it increases the amount of red blood cells being produced, which is going to increase the amount of oxygen carrying capacity within the blood. Which is going to cause us to not have hypoxia anymore. You guys, what kind of feedback loop is this? Is this a negative feedback loop or a positive feedback loop?
Negative.
Why is it a negative feedback loop?
Oh, here we go.
Oh, you know you can do this.
Well, because there's a vector and a receptor, because it corrects itself. It's like a level that corrects itself.
Zena, what were you going to say?
Same thing. So it's getting the negative feedback, which causes it to produce the erythropoietin or to secrete those.
Yes, that's exactly right. You were both right. Understand that cycle for right now. Recognize that we're going to go over it again in lecture 2. If it's not clear right now, it'll be clear then. Why would an increased altitude, if you moved, let's say right now, I can't remember, I think New York City, right around in New York is sea level. If you move to Denver, Colorado, where the altitude is about 3,000 feet higher, why would an increased altitude cause increased erythropoietin secretion?
Because of the lack of like you're fighting for oxygen. Like your body's not taking in the amount of oxygen it needs. Like you have to.
Why are you fighting for oxygen?
Because the higher the altitude, the less oxygen that is in the atmosphere.
That's exactly right. It's exactly right. So you're dealing with a decreased partial pressure of oxygen when you move altitudes.
Mm-hmm.
This is why mountain climbers get sick when they try to do Mount Everest. They get altitude sickness. They have to train for that and be ready for it. They have to give their body a chance to adjust itself and produce more red blood cells. Let me ask another question really quickly and just, it's kind of off topic again, and I apologize, but how many of you have heard of Lance Armstrong?
Me.
I have.
What did he, who was he? Someone besides Becky. Someone besides Becky. Who was Lance Armstrong?
Are we talking about the person who went to space or the bicycle rider?
The bicycle rider.
The other one is something Armstrong. I can't remember.
You know, oh shoot. I know who you're referring to though.
Yeah.
So what, Lance Armstrong, what was he famous for?
Performance enhancing drugs.
Yes.
Shoot, you're giving it away already, Tariq. All right, but I did ask.
Yeah, I mean, initially it was because he had cancer and he performed in the Tour de France after he had cancer, but then it came out that he was using performance enhancing drugs.
What he was doing was he was blood doping. He was probably using performance enhancing drugs, but one thing that he was doing in addition to that is he was blood doping. What, Terry, do you know what blood doping is?
No, I have no idea.
Okay. Blood doping is when you pull out a certain amount of blood out of your body, oxygenate it, then right before an triathlon or whatever, or the Tour de France, you put it back into your body. Why would that be dangerous to you? First, why would it be a benefit? Why in the world, you know, for someone like me who doesn't like blood, I really don't like blood. Why in the world would someone want to pull blood out of their body, oxygenate it, and stick it back in again?
I don't know. I guess like, would it just make like, for lack of a better way of explaining it, would it make like your blood like healthier? Like if it just, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I think it just increases your blood, your red blood cells.
You know what? It actually increases the red blood cells, but one thing that it does, like Tariq said, it increases the oxygen in your blood, right? Yep. If you oxygenate those cells and stick them back in, you increase how much oxygen you have available for that moment. And then it does increase the number of blood cells, so you have more higher oxygen carrying capacity. Now, my next question is, why is that dangerous? Why do people stroke out with that kind of thing and have heart failure over that kind of thing?
Maybe they're accidentally injecting air.
Nope. If they did it really wrong, they could do that. But why else would it be dangerous? What did we talk about with Becky earlier?
Blood clots. It's bad for your body because you can get blood clots.
You can get blood clots because why are you going to get blood clots, Lexi?
Because like your blood's thicker.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. If your blood is thicker, it's going to be more inclined to clot. That's why it's so dangerous for you. And one thing that you'll learn about erythropoietin if you start studying it, and you can study it, study erythropoietin abuse. You will learn that it's one of the more abused. It's a hormone that we've now figured out how to synthesize it, because there are people who don't produce enough erythropoietin, and it's abused by athletes.
So I have a stupid question. So when people
It's
go
not
through
stupid.
So when people go through dialysis, they take their blood out, they run it through a machine, and they put it back in. Why is that different?
Because they're using diffusion to get rid of just the waste.
Okay. They're not, they're just cleaning out the toxins that their body can't get rid of. So they're cleaning out the toxins, putting everything else back in. They're not souping it up or amplifying it or anything. They're just cleaning it.
Exactly.
Basically running it through a strainer.
Right.
Okay.
And they're using dialysis bags or dialysis tubing as that strainer.
Okay.
Is that clear how that works and why, first off, why altitude would cause more erythropoietin secretion and why blood viscosity is something we got to be careful with and why people might abuse erythropoietin? When we talk about respiration, we'll come back to this again. But that's why he got in trouble. I don't know if I mentioned it last semester. I like to cycle. I like to cross-country cycle. And for a long time, I kind of knew that Lance Armstrong was a booger. I kind of knew that. He's done things that I've seen that I kind of knew he was a booger. In a nice word, nicest way I can put it. But I thought he was amazing at the same time. And now I've just come back to the fact that he's a booger. They say that it takes several years to build up people's opinion of you and seconds to destroy it.
Yep.
So coming back to this now. So platelets, also called thrombocytes, the smallest formed element. They're technically, even though they're a formed element because they're membrane enclosed, they're not cells. There's no nuclei or DNA within them. They're released from megakaryocytes, which are essential for blood coagulation and clotting. You guys, what does mega mean?
Large.
Large. What do you remember? And I don't know if we've even talked about it. We talked about it in 121, but what does karyo mean? If you think about a prokaryotic cell versus a eukaryotic cell, do you remember those terms?
It has nucleus.
Yes. So a eukaryotic cell has a nucleus, a prokaryotic cell does not. So what this means is that it's a big multinucleated cell. So this is a huge cell that fragments break off of it. And those fragments are the platelets. And those platelets are involved in blood clotting. Any questions so far? White blood cells, leukocytes. Remember, leuco means white or clear. So we have two types of leukocytes. We have granulocytes because they have granules in them. Or we have agranulocytes, which don't contain granules. This PMN, I'm going to put this in another, let's see here. PMN, which is another word for neutrophils, or that's not what I meant to do. PMN stands for polymorphonuclear cells. I think that's right. And I'm going to actually check because I may be wrong. PMN. Morphonuclear leukocytes. So this is a big term. That means neutrophils. Okay. And so we often will call them PMNs. Sometimes I still call them just neutrophils because it's easy for me to remember. So neutrophils are one of the first type of granulocytes, and eosinophils are the next one. Basophils are the next ones. The agranulocytes, remember, A meaning the absence of, so these don't have granules in them. I'm looking at this picture over here. Here's one that has granules in it. This is a basophil. Here's one that has little tiny granules in it. It's not a really good picture, but there are little granules in there. That's a neutrophil. Here's another one that has granules in it. That's an eosinophil. Here's one where the nucleus takes up almost the whole entire cell, but it doesn't have granules in it. This is a lymphocyte. Here's one that doesn't have granules in it, but has like a U-shaped nucleus, kind of. But its nucleus doesn't take up the whole cell, but it takes up a major part of the cell. This is a monocyte. So granulocytes are neutrophils, eosinophils, and basophils. Agranulocytes are lymphocytes and monocytes. All of these cells have prominent nuclei, and their function is to get rid of foreign material, cellular debris, and pathogens. If that's their function, where do you think these guys also are important? What other system besides the circulatory system are these guys probably important in?
Lymphatic system.
The lymphatic or the immune system, right, right. So that's why we're going to study the immune system right after this, is because these are key players in the immune system also. But they're called white blood cells because they're coming from the hematopoietic stem cells. They're still considered part of the blood. These leukocytes are controlled by hormones. One of them is interleukins. Interleukin meaning in between. So these are hormones that work to in between cells and help mediate cell actions. We'll talk more about them when we talk about the immune system. They also are regulated by colony stimulating factors, meaning factors that can control the growth of a colony or stimulate the action of multiple cells. They're also, one other thing that white blood cells can do is they do diabetes. What is pedis? What's a podiatrist?
Foot doctor.
Foot doctor.
A foot doctor, right. So diabetes is moving by feet. These guys, they can slip through little tiny clefts in blood vessels. They can slip in and around other cells. If they end up being released into your muscle because you got your muscle damaged, they can move in between the spindle fibers. That's what the diabetes means. Is that they just kind of stick out these little feelers and just move themselves around as they want to go. Bear with me here really quick. I'm going to show you a picture. If you look online, there are some neat pictures of white blood cells and diabetes. Let's see if we can actually get good videos, not these. Let's see here. I'm going to get electron microscopy. You look here. Here's a white blood cell. Here's a red blood cell. See this, how it's putting out these little things that's essentially enveloping this, whatever this is right here. Here's another one. It's putting out these feelers. Let's do this one, engulfing a pathogen. They move around by essentially putting out little feelers and sliding forward, kind of like a slug. Kind of put out little feelers and pull themselves forward. Let's see here, engulfing pathogen. Gotta get a good one. Let's do this one, bacteria. So here's your bacteria, here's your white blood cell. Kind of puts out these little feelers and just kind of pulls it in. I like to think of it, I'm not a big fan of the newer Star Wars movies, but I really like the old ones. And it's kind of like the Death Star pulling something in. So they can also, you know, they do it to pull things in and engulf things. They also do it to move. You can see this picture up here. It moves in and then it just kind of slips through a cleft. Okay, maybe not. Kind of, it moves by, it rolls on, it adheres to it, and it just kind of slips through. This is what we call diabetes. And we'll talk about how and why this works when we talk about the immune system. Questions? Wow, right to the very beginning again. So leukocytes, white blood cells, what do they do? Why do we even care about these guys? Neutrophils are multi-lobed. Remember how we call them polymorphonuclear cells? That big old long name of PMNs. One way that I always remember what a neutrophil looks like is it has a very, very bizarre looking nucleus. It can be 3 to 5 lobes of a nucleus. When you think of a nucleus, you think of a circular nucleus, right? This is not very circular. So one way that I can distinguish a neutrophil from any other white blood cell is the fact that it's got this really weird looking nucleus. Eosinophils have like a 2-lobed nucleus, a bilobed nucleus that's usually attached by a little tether. If you see it, one that looks like it just has 2 lobes to a nucleus or 2 parts of a nucleus, it's probably an eosinophil. And the granules are reddish orangish colors. Basophils are bilobed nuclei. They have purple-black cytoplasmic granules. Lymphocytes have a nucleus that almost takes up the whole entire cell. And it's dark purple. Monocytes have a U-shaped big nucleus. If it looks even somewhat U-shaped and takes up the majority of the cell, it is probably a monocyte. The more you look at these cells, the easier it gets to to identify them. So neutrophils function in immune defenses. Do you guys remember what phagocytosis meant?
Means like eating.
It does. It means eating. How do you pronounce your name?
Me?
Yes. No. I thought it was someone else. Claire, I know how to pronounce your name. Someone else, I'll have to ask her how she pronounces it. So neutrophils are involved in phagocytosis. They engulf things. They engulf bad things. Eosinophils are very good against parasites. If you get a parasitic worm, you'll see that your number of eosinophils goes up drastically. I think they can also phagocytose things. Basophils are involved in an inflammatory response. They release heparin and histamine. How many struggle with allergies? This is a major
I
one. This is one of your major culprits. Lauren also struggles with them. Excuse me. This is one of your major culprits because what most anti-allergy medicines are antihistamines. What's heparin do?
Blood thinner.
It's a blood thinner. It works to avoid, it helps prevent blood clots and it thins blood so it circulates faster. Monocytes become macrophages. Macrophages are another big phagocytosis cell. B lymphocytes produce antibodies. T lymphocytes are involved in initiating antibody responses and stimulating other immune cells. Now, what are the relative percentages? I'm going to give you a mnemonic and I'm going to write it down here. Give me 1 second here. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Let's see here. This mnemonic is the best way to remember the relative percentages of these cells. Never let monkeys eat bananas. Okay. What that means is neutrophils lymphocytes I'm going to take my teaching assistant. Neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, eosinophils, and basophils. So what that means is that neutrophils are the most common. Lymphocytes are the second most common.
You're driving.
Monocytes are the third most common. Eosinophils are the fourth most common, and basophils are the least common. So the one that you're least likely to see in a blood smear are the basophils. The one that you're most likely to see are the neutrophils. If you see that the relative number goes up for one of these, from where it should be the least common, now it's one of the more common ones, it's a sign of a particular type of infection, whatever this cell acts on, which in this case is an inflammatory response. If you see an elevated amount of eosinophils, it's probably a parasitic worm. Questions? So neutrophils never let lymphocytes, monkeys, monocytes, eat eosinophils, bananas, basophils. Now, one of your first virtual labs is a differential white blood cell count. It's going to ask you to count the number of certain cells there. Here's a typical blood smear. You take a drop of blood, you put a drop of stain on it, put a cover slip on it, and look underneath and see what's there. If you remember, I said earlier that when you look at a blood smear, a lot of times red blood cells, they look hollow in the center. Little tiny pieces here, platelets. The one with a really bizarre looking nucleus, this is a neutrophil. Eosinophils look like they have two lobes of a nucleus and that might be connected by a small string. Eosinophils. Basophils. Lymphocytes and monocytes. Here, neutrophils, a monocyte, and a platelet. What type of cell is this? These are the same. What type of cell is this?
Which one? The top one?
These two are the same. What type of cell is it?
Monocyte?
You're close, but it's not right. Why? Let's do something.
Between the monocyte or the eosinophils.
Eosinophil? It's an eosinophil.
Yeah, I was torn.
Why do we know it's an eosinophil?
Because the nucleus is
Yep, well, the nuclei's got two lobes to it there. What else does it have in it that we might not see? This is a lymphocyte over here.
Oh, it has the little specky things.
Yeah, it has the little granules in it.
Granules, there you go, specky things.
Specky things, yes. That's the scientific term for it. What about this one right here?
That's the basophils.
How did you know that?
Because it's full of granules. And there's is it it doesn't look like it has like a, the nuclei doesn't stand out. It's just full of the granules.
Yeah, sometimes with a basophil, you may see a bunch of dark granules and it may be hard to see the nucleus because the granules are so dark. All right, let me ask you another question as Becky sits there and hacks. What basophils, are they most common or least common?
the common.
They're the least common, right? Right. Now, what is this type of cell right here?
A monocyte
You're close.
or a neutrophil?
It's not a neutrophil. Neutrophils have really weird looking nuclei.
Is it a lymphocyte?
It's a lymphocyte. One thing that you'll see about lymphocytes is that their nuclei almost takes up the whole entire cell. They're big nuclei. Let me show you a neutrophil. Who was it who said that that was possibly a neutrophil up here?
Claire.
Claire, look at these. These are neutrophils. Do you see the difference between these and everything else?
Yes.
Yeah, I just think of them as the ones with the really weird nucleus. And the last one, what are these? Someone who hasn't answered yet. Let me call on somebody. Katie, what are these?
Are those blood cells?
Are they what? Say it one more time.
Blood cells.
They're white blood cells, but what kind of white blood cell are they?
Leukocytes.
Well, a white blood cell is a leukocyte. Look right here. What kind of cell is that probably?
Is it a basophil?
It's close. So it's this one right here, monocyte. And the reason is, look at that one right there. And then I'm going to come down. Do you see a similarity?
Isn't it because like the inside looks kind of like a kidney?
Yeah, that's kind of it. If it looks at all like it could look like a U, it's probably a monocyte. Or it looks possibly like Kayla said there, it could look like a kidney. And it's not, it's taken up a lot of the cell, but it's not taken up the majority of it. It's a monocyte. Let's look at some others here. What about this one right here? Kayla, what's this cell right here?
If I butcher it, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Is it a neutrophil?
It is. It's a neutrophil, and you didn't butcher it. That's perfect.
Yay!
Good job. Okay. What is, let's call on someone else. Zena, what is this right here?
I don't know. Is that monocyte maybe?
You it kind of looks like it's a monocyte, but it's taking up almost the whole entire cell, but it doesn't have granules in it. What else could it be?
Neutrophil?
Is what?
Maybe it's a neutrophil. I'm just guessing at this point.
You know what? It's a lymphocyte.
Lymphocyte, okay.
When it looks like it doesn't have granules in it, but the nucleus, this purple part, is taking up the majority of the cell, it's a lymphocyte. What about this? And you know what, Zena, on the same line, what is this one right here? Don't think too hard about it. What do you think it possibly could be?
Is it the same since it's taking up a lot of the space?
It is. These also right here, and right here are all lymphocytes. What is this right here?
Is that a monocyte?
I want to say no. And the reason I want to say no is because usually that nucleus is a little bigger. What could it look like if it's got two lobes to it and it's connected by just a little tiny piece here?
Is that the yeah, I was gonna say that, but I didn't know how to say it.
Say it one more time. What is it?
The eosinophil?
You're an eosinophil, right? That's right. So now look at this one right here. What is this? Do you see a lot of granules in there? I don't see a lot of granules in there. The nucleus isn't taking up the whole cell, but it's a pretty big nucleus. What is it?
Is that a monocyte?
You're right, Terry. It's a monocyte. What's this right here, Terry, while we're on this? What's this?
Is that a basophil?
Basophil? Right.
Yeah.
What's this right here?
Would that be a neutrophil?
You're right, that's a neutrophil.
Okay.
What is this little speck right here? Let me call on somebody else. I'm gonna let's see who my participants are. Casey, what's that little speck right there? These little specks. Casey? Let me call on somebody else. Alyssa, do you know what those little specks are? All right, somebody else, tell me, anyone else, what are those little specks?
Is that a platelet?
Those are platelets, that's right. And what are these cells? All four of these are the same kind of cell. What are they?
Neutrophils.
They're neutrophils.
I have a question. Will we have a quiz that shows pictures of this stuff and like we have to identify it?
Yep, you will.
Okay, are the pictures gonna like so I had this in like my first class.
Yeah.
And are the pictures gonna be like similar? Because when I had my lab, like it was anatomy 1, the pictures really were off. And
I'm gonna try to get you the best pictures possible.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to get the clearest pictures possible.
All right.
I'm not gonna try to give you really weird pictures just to see what happens. I'm gonna try to get the best pictures possible. What is this cell right here, Lexi, while we're at it? What's this?
Really put me on the spot.
Yep. It's a cell. There's not a lot of granules in there, and the nuclei is taking up the majority of the cell. What is it?
Is it a lymphocyte?
It's a lymphocyte. That's correct. What about this one right here? it is an eosinophil. And the reason I know that is because, yes, it's got two lobes to it, and it's attached by a little tiny string here. It's not really a kidney-like shaped one that would look like this. It's more that it's two parts to it connected by one piece. And then the neutrophil right here. I'm going to skip through this one. I'm going to skip through this. Skip through this. Let's talk about a hematocrit. Polycythemia, like Becky said that she struggles with. If the hematocrit is normally at, what did it say, 37 to 42% or 45%? If it's higher than that, it's polycythemia. If it's lower than 44 or 37%, it's anemia.
What's the Buffy coat?
The Buffy coat is platelets. If you look here, the Buffy coat is platelets and leukocytes. So a hematocrit is a measurement of the number and size of red blood cells in someone's blood. Coagulation time is how long does it take for a blood clot to form? Typically 2 to 6 minutes is normal with heparin. Heparin meaning an anti-clotting agent. What happens, and this is it, we're going to talk about how this is a cascade next time. But there's an injury to the vessel. Injury to the vessel. There's a bunch of steps. We'll talk about how this is one of the most complicated cascades in physiology. There's a lot of steps that lead to the activation of prothrombinase. Prothrombinase activates prothrombin to thrombin with the introduction of calcium. Thrombin activates fibrinogen. You remember that was that clotting protein in plasma. Converts it to fibrin. Which then fibrin becomes very sticky and becomes a network of almost like a spider web. Sticky webbing that binds to red blood cells, bind to, and plasma and platelets bind to form a clot. So there's an injury, something happens, injury or removal of blood from vessels. Steps that cause the activation of prothrombinase that stimulates the activation of prothrombin to thrombin. Pro always means a precursor. So we have a lot of prothrombin that circulates in our blood all the time. It's an inactive enzyme. When prothrombinase is activated, it cleaves prothrombin to become thrombin, which cleaves fibrinogen to become fibrin. And the fibrin is then the sticky webbing that compacts with red blood cells and platelets and plasma to form a clot. The amount of time that it takes for this to occur is the coagulation time. Now, question for you, and we're slowly running out of time here, but why would basophils release heparin? What would be the purpose?
To thin the blood?
They thin the blood. Why would you want to thin the blood?
So it's not like that word you was using earlier, vicious or whatever.
It's not.
So it's not
It's not as.
to move.
Yep, it's not as viscous. The other thing is when we thin the blood, it's a lot easier for other cells to move through the blood. You remember how white blood cells are involved in diabetes? And they move around and they move to sites of injury and infection. They're going to do that. The easier it is for them to maneuver, the faster we can create an immune response. So one thing that happens with an infection is you see that there's less clotting a lot of times because basophils are releasing heparin. Hopefully this is one, I think this is one of the last parts here. Blood typing. How many of you know your blood type? Somebody tell me what their blood type is.
I have O.
Yep, O. Well, you know, Claire, we knew you were a weirdo. Let's, what O means, there's certain proteins that are on, you remember we talked about cell markers in 121.
Mm-hmm.
Antigens are these cell markers. O people don't have either antigen that we look for when we're looking at blood types. That's why we know that Claire's weird. I have A negative. What that means is that I have the A antigen. I don't have the B antigen. And I don't have what we call the RH factor. The way that your immune system works is your immune system works to determine what's foreign and what's not, what's part of you already, what's always been you. Somebody else. So Claire knows she's O. Are you O positive or O negative?
O positive.
Okay.
That's what I am too.
Okay.
I'm B negative.
Say it again.
I'm B negative.
B negative?
Yep.
Okay. Who was that?
Lexi.
Okay. Lexi's B negative. If she's B negative, what that means is that she has the B antigen on her red blood cells and she doesn't have the RH factor. Can I give her blood if I'm A negative?
No.
No.
What? Well, why not? We're both negative.
Yeah, but the blood cell, the body will attack what you give her, which
Why?
is the any. because, wait,
You're right, but why?
because she's B negative, right? So you're A negative.
Right.
Because that's what the antibodies will make. Wait, now I'm confused.
If you're right, Zena, you're 100% right. The reason is because if her body is going to look at my blood and see the A antigen on it and say, look, that's foreign. That isn't part of that isn't part of who Lexi is. Therefore, it needs to be attacked and killed. That's what incompatibility is. Where your body, her body is going to develop antibodies against that A antigen that binds up that antigen and causes it to be destroyed.
Actually, there was a time when I was in a car accident and I needed blood, and there's just not a lot of supply of B negative.
Yeah.
So we had to use O.
Well, why can they use O on you? How can they use O on you?
You can use O universally. I shouldn't say universally. You can use O for like all of them.
Why can you, Lexi? How can you do that? Why can O be used for everything? And it's specifically O negative. The reason is because it doesn't have O blood, O negative blood does not have the A or B antigens on it, and it doesn't have the RH factor.
So then it just like doesn't attack, right?
Yeah, there's nothing that the body's gonna say, oh, look, that's bad. That's why. I think we covered the gist of what was gonna go on here today.
I'm sorry, I have a question on that.
Go for it.
So the RH factor, what exactly is that? So if you're A negative, A positive, B negative,
The RH factor, RH actually comes from a rhesus monkey. That's where they identified it first. And it is another antigen like A or B. And if you're negative, it means that you don't have that antigen on your red blood cells. If you're positive, you do have that antigen. We will talk next Friday about why it's critical to know whether you have that or not. And a lot of it we learned about it through pregnancy. But
so if you're RH positive, then you have it, you say, but if you're
yes.
RH negative, you don't.
Exactly.
I'm O negative and I have to get the RhoGAM shot whenever I'm pregnant.
Why do you have to get the RhoGAM shot when you're pregnant if you're O negative?
Because if the baby's blood type isn't like mine, if it's a positive blood type and it's
That's right. If the baby has positive blood and Xena has negative blood, her body will actually develop antibodies that will attack the baby's blood. One other thing, you can get an A allele, an A chromosome gene from your mom and a B chromosome from your dad and be AB. You can get an O chromosome from your dad and an A chromosome from your mom and be A. You can get two Bs and be BB.
I said nice.
Do you guys have questions for me? Probably lots. Watch the videos. A lot of this information is covered in those videos too. And I will see you next Friday.
See you next Friday.
See ya.
See ya.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
All right. Thanks.
Welcome.
I just want to let you know I was able to register for the class.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome.
Thanks. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Did you still want me to stay after so we could try to figure out my little website problem?
What now? Tell me one more time. What was the website problem?
Let me read what it says to me. Give me 1 second.
Does it say you're having a white label issue?
Give me, I'll go to the menu. Should I click the menu or the exercises? Let me try the exercise, see if it works there. As soon as I click, I agree to terms of use, it says, yeah, white label error page. And then that's when I tried it on my other browsers like Chrome and Google, and it still wasn't working. I don't know if it's because I have an iPad. A lot of Apple things don't work with stuff like that.
Let me, we're going to call Wiley because I don't know.
Okay. I wonder if they have an app.
I don't know.
Thank you for calling Wiley Plus Next Gen Support. Please note that your call may be recorded for training and quality purposes. If you are an instructor, please press 1. If you are a student, please visit our live chat and frequently asked questions website at wileyplus.com/support or press 2 to hold for assistance. For student technical support requests, such as help registering or utilizing any of our products, please visit support.wiley.com. Our live agents are ready and available to assist you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week via chat and email. For all other requests, please hold to speak with an agent.
We're just going to hold.
Okay.
For student technical support requests, such as help registering or utilizing any of our products, please visit support.wiley.com. Our live agents are ready and available to assist you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week via chat and email. For all other requests, please hold to speak with an agent.
So like, just to make it easier for you, do you want me to like join their live chat tomorrow or something when I have the chance? 'Cause I have
If
to
you
work soon.
want to, you can. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, if you can send me their numbers or
Yeah,
the site.
here. Let me give you their number. Give me
Okay.
1 second here. I don't know. Normally it's pretty fast to get on there. Obviously.
It's okay. It's just I gotta be to work soon. That's all.
I understand. Their phone number is 877 725 7503.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I'm sorry about that, Alyssa. Have a wonderful week, okay?
You as well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.